Thanks, David. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on the call today. As David said, it's been another good 6 months, and the two standouts for me really have been the progress that we've made on care, which David's covered off really well, and also the level of momentum that we're achieving in the business. But first, I'd like to start off by talking about the safety of our people. In the month of September, we closed 10 construction sites for the day and had representatives from all our offices, villages, for Safer Together, which was a one-day Ryman Safety Summit. It was the first time we've ever done something like this. We got 350 people together in one room to talk about safety, and this included leaders from our villages and construction sites in New Zealand and Australia, as well as subcontractors and people in roles such as gardening and maintenance. I sort of think of it like you can send out all the safety memos that you like, but people need to hear safety messages, I think, from the horse's mouth, the people who lead the business. I made it really clear that our staff have my express permission to stop what they are doing if they don't feel safe doing it, to stop others doing unsafe things, and to speak up if they weren't being supported to work safely. Everyone at Ryman should feel confident to do what they need to do to keep themselves and their people safe. We don't want anyone working for Ryman or with Ryman who doesn't take safety seriously. And you may think that some of this should always be a given, but when you're dealing with the complexity of the human condition, I can tell you that it requires a lot of hard work, actually. We've had great feedback from the team, and as you can see from the slide, we set the day up so that it was interactive, not just a series of lectures. And in fact, just a couple of images there, the top left-hand side, we set up some driving modules so that people could see what it's like to experience driving when they're tired and how much that impairs your performance. On the bottom left-hand side there in the hoist, that's Tom Brownrigg. He's our Chief Construction Officer. And it's a real enlightening for him to be in a resident hoist, and he said to us afterwards he was amazed how vulnerable he felt in that position, and it all helps to understand the sort of point of view and empathy for the resident as well. We've also achieved a lot of momentum in our LEAP leadership development program. More than 280 leaders have completed development sessions by the end of this year, and our senior leaders have been actively participating in leadership coaching sessions. I've been getting great feedback on the investment that we're making in our leaders right across the business. We've also stepped up our apprenticeship scheme, which we are running in partnership with the Building and Construction ITO. It's no secret that New Zealand has not trained enough skilled builders for a long time. We now have 12 construction apprentices in training, and we're constantly on the lookout for talented tradespeople to foster and develop into the Rymanians of tomorrow. And there's a pic of Jamie and Rory, who I met a few weeks ago. They're loving their job. We opened a new office in central Melbourne, actually on St Kilda Road, and we've gone from 3 staff in Melbourne 2 years ago to 16 staff today. We've recruited right across the board, from community relations, development, construction, marketing, through to operations and sales management. Our design and development teams have also grown in the first half, and the construction design team in our Auckland office is now well established. And I saw them yesterday and they had a ton of work up on their whiteboards, so that was good. 4 years ago, Ryman had a total of 16 staff dedicated to development and design. Today we have a team of 60, including specialist teams concentrating on design concepts, construction design, visual design, and a new team dedicated to interiors. So developing villages is a long-term game. It takes time to find the right site, complete concept design work, get consent, and then complete all the detailed building design consent work and agree all the pre-start conditions with local councils, and that's just before construction even gets underway. So we've needed to make this upfront investment over the last couple of years because we're going to be doubling our build rate as we ramp up in Victoria. We need to build the teams now to be able to do that, and it takes time to get the output from more resource in this area. But I tell you, we will reap the benefit over the next 3 to 4 years. Momentum is really building now in Victoria. We've just bought our 9th site at Ocean Grove, which is a lovely seaside town about a 90-minute drive from Melbourne's CBD and 30 minutes from Geelong. The site already has development approval for a retirement village and aged care, and it's in a great location. Ocean Grove is an established and thriving community with strong demand for retirement living options. There's a really nice resale precinct just down the road. The town centre's very nice actually, and the 3.7 hectare site will allow us to build a traditional townhouse style village in the area. And I was doing some highly technical market research last week by having a couple of flat whites in the centre of Ocean Grove, including at the Driftwood Cafe, which was very nice. And I could tell you there were lots of very friendly locals and a lot of older people, and just had a great feel. So I think that's going to go really well. And look, it's a beautiful 4-hour drive from Ocean Grove, taking in our sites in Melbourne and across to our new sites in Mount Eliza and down to Mount Martha. Now, it might not look it, but in that distance is a population roughly the size of New Zealand. And when I did it the other day, it made me realise why Melbourne is noted as being one of the fastest growing cities in the developed world. And it's also regarded as one of the world's most livable cities. If you have a look at the map, you can see what a great spread of sites we have now, from Ocean Grove in Geelong, back through the centre of Melbourne, across through the southeastern suburbs, and also down to the Mornington Peninsula. For sort of true Rymanian fans, can be the new Melbourne Drive, perhaps. The development team has done a really great job of strategically building clusters of sites. You can see the clusters of 2 or 3 in different areas. So we can develop our brand in distinct markets and with different styles of villages. And you can tell from the map that our construction team will be able to get a roll on with new sites in a much smaller geographic setting in a way that is quite different to how we've had to work in New Zealand over the last 34 years, where we've had to go from Invercargill to Whangarei, Gisborne, Wanganui, you name it. So just a quick reminder, we bought a site at Aberfeldy in July, and you can see its proximity to central Melbourne. Development applications are due to be lodged in the next few months for this site and for Mount Martha and Mount Eliza. We have received development approvals from Burwood East and also the Coburg sites in Melbourne, and we're poised to start work as soon as we can once final pre-start conditions are confirmed by the councils. There's actually quite a lot to do to get underway on sites in Melbourne. We're also in advanced discussions with the City Council about our new village at Geelong. You can see an artist's impression there. I was in Geelong as well a couple of weeks ago, and it's actually really beautiful for those of you who haven't been. It's got a lovely seaside sort of frontage, a lovely old-fashioned pier, nice sort of central shopping, and yeah, it looks really nice there. Our site is a great location as well. There's also a significant milestone in the first half to welcome our first residents at Nellie Melba, which is our second village in Melbourne. And as you can see from the picture, the village looks amazing. I appreciate there's been a significant gap between finishing our first village in Melbourne and opening our second village. However, we have learnt a lot, and we're still learning a lot. You know, we learn new stuff every month actually, so it's really good. So we're really building momentum in Victoria. So to sum up, we've got 2 villages open, 2 with work about to start, and we're about to submit another 3 development applications in the next 2 to 3 months. We're also hoping for a positive outcome with Geelong, maybe December, January. The feedback we get on the ground from residents and potential residents is that they love the Ryman difference, and it's becoming better known. They like our fair terms, they like our lower DMF, they like our continuum of care, they like our fixed weekly fees, they like the way we do activities, and they like the feel of the village. So we're starting to really develop that. And the fact that we can look after people for the rest of their days as their health needs change, I think is becoming increasingly important for the older cohort of people. So we're building the same sort of trust in our brand of Victoria that we've worked hard to develop in New Zealand over the last 34 years. And it's quite interesting. A lot of people in Melbourne, a lot of prospects, they do the due diligence, and they do actually know people in New Zealand, and they ask and they get good feedback from people who have been at or live at villages or work at villages. So that aspect is actually working quite well for us. The 80-plus population of people in Victoria is going to grow to more than 1 million over the next 35 years or so. And so you can see why Victoria is an exciting opportunity where we can bring Ryman to more and more communities. So we're just as busy in New Zealand. We've just received in the last, when was it, about 2 days ago? Yeah. We've just received consent for our new Lincoln Road village in West Auckland. And there she goes there. We haven't built it yet though, that's just a really good picture. I thought we had built it actually when I looked at it. The first phase of the village will have 200 care beds and assisted living apartments and 130 independent living units. We're also pleased to be back underway at River Road in Hamilton. We attracted excellent interest at our public meetings in September. You can just see sort of in the foreground there, in about the middle of that photo, the Waikato River, and it runs back along sort of diagonally to the right there, so it's a really beautiful site. We had a 4-month delay though, unfortunately, which we advised shareholders of at our AGM, because we had found pre-European bone artefacts. So we've had to work with local iwi and Heritage New Zealand, and in the last 4 months we've been able to recommence work, so that's good. And next week we're going to welcome our first residents at, we still call it Tropicana, but the official marketing name is Linfield. Tropicana being Tropicana Drive on the way to the Bill Zabretsky estate. We've had great interest from locals actually. There was a really nice subdivision built there about 40, 50 years ago, and a lot of those residents are going to be moving into the village. We've had a lot of good stories about them. So we're looking forward to that happening. You can see the sort of views actually that in the setting of that village, it's beautiful. Our Devonport site is not far behind, and there is Hansel and Gretel, which is the name of the 2 cranes. This is Matt Hutchison, our project manager, couldn't resist naming them. They can lift 6 tonnes, I'm told, at a diameter radius of 60 metres. Yeah, the construction team get pretty excited about those sort of stats. So, and again, you can see the views are going to look over to central Auckland. Consents are also due to be lodged in the next few months for Karori, Havelock North and Hobsonville. So we have a pipeline of 9 villages in New Zealand with work underway at 3. Overall, across Victoria and New Zealand, we have 16 new villages in the pipeline, 6 of which are either underway or just about to get underway. And the development team, I can assure you, is always looking for new opportunities, and we have a number of sites under due diligence as well, which we haven't talked about today. It's also important that we give back in ways that are meaningful. Our charity partner this year is the Stroke Foundation. The foundation wanted to put a special stroke van on the road so that it could extend its blood pressure check program. So we bought a van for them so they could get going, and the foundation is well on its way to completing an additional 50,000 blood pressure checks in its first year. Elevated blood pressure can have significant consequences, and having identified and treated early on can help prevent strokes. The van is going to shopping malls, AMP shows, building sites, and is calling in at all of our villages. In fact, my brother sent me a text photo of it from the AMP show in Christchurch last week when he was getting his done. We're delighted to be able to help improve the health of thousands of New Zealanders in this way. In October, Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern presented Japanese inventor Takanori Shibata with the 2018 Ryman Prize. The prize is our annual award for the best work anywhere in the world to enhance the life of older people. We're also really excited about partnering with the Antarctic Heritage Trust, and we're going to be taking people on a virtual reality tour of Sir Edmund Hillary's Scott Base hut in the ice around our villages and also around airports and major features of New Zealand. So we're going to bring the ice to a whole bunch of people, including me, who probably would never otherwise get there in their life. And in Melbourne, we've sponsored exhibitions of the art of Jack Chalker at the Caulfield RSL and the Heidelberg Rehabilitation Hospital. His artwork is on the top right-hand side. Jack was a prisoner on the death railway with Sir Weary Dunlop during World War II. He risked his life to record as a prisoner of war the work of Weary that he did to keep men alive. And his art, amazingly, was also used as evidence at the Tokyo War Crimes Tribunal. And in that painting, you can see Weary Dunlop on the far right doing surgical work. So it's wonderful to be able to support things like that pay tribute to people that we are privileged to use names of for our villages, including Eben Hillary as well. We're also delighted to be the principal sponsor of the Royal New Zealand Ballet's season of the Nutcracker, which is on now. And that is a stunning photo, isn't it? You might think it's unusual, I guess, for me to be talking about this sort of stuff at an interim results presentation, but we see it as a very important part of what we do. We actually put a lot of effort into these sort of activities. We like to contribute and give back to society, and it's a very important part of the company's DNA going right back to the founders. So what's this all about, really? Why do our staff go to such amazing lengths? Well, a great example from my recent travels is a lady called Margaret Dorner, whose husband was in our dementia or special care unit at Essie Summers in Christchurch. Margaret is an artist, and she decided to help her husband and the other residents suffering from dementia by running art classes as a form of therapy. You can see Margaret in the picture with Rosemary Dean, who is the village manager, and me. She's teamed up with Lavinia, the activities coordinator in the special care unit, who's top left-hand side there. And this year was their third year of running an exhibition of the residents' art within the dementia care unit. They run a special exhibition at night time on a Friday night, and residents and families and friends, they all come along nicely dressed up like it's a real great art, like a proper art exhibition, which it is. And residents just love the classes. Their families can't believe what they've achieved. It takes a huge amount of patience, and we've made their art into a calendar to raise money for the Stroke Foundation. And when you look at some of the artwork, most of that artwork is done within about 1 hour because people struggle to recall painting techniques for the next class, and you sort of have to start again. So when I think about what we do every day, and I think about the 24/7 nature of what we do and visiting villages and that sort of thing, it makes me very proud to work for Ryman. It's the sort of thing that also makes me very determined to bring what we do to as many communities as we can in New Zealand and Victoria. And that's like what David said, it's not about growth for growth's sakes, it's because we want people to have the same sort of opportunities as they enjoy right now at our villages and many other communities. And that's why I think you as shareholders can feel proud of your investment in Ryman. We're successful because we do good things for people. So that's all from me at the moment. We've had a good first half with a lot going on. We're seeing good momentum that will continue to grow in the second half as we gear up for the years ahead. And I'm about to hand over to Dave Bennett, our CFO. But just have a look at that picture there, Bert Sutcliffe at night. When I was there for the opening of our Crow block, probably about 2 weeks ago, I spoke with Graham, and he had supplied an amazing picture from his apartment of Bert Sutcliffe at night. And I just think it's one of those photos that's really cool. So I thought I'd leave that up there while Dave comes up. Thank you.